is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
And welcome to it. It is time to get started 6 minutes after the hour on this Thursday. Thursday here on the Steve Gruber Show, and I appreciate you dialing it in. A lot of things to cover today. We've got Joe Biden saying he's not going to run for president, though he means really does want to run. You've got Hillary Clinton headed to Capitol Hill to be transparent. Yeah, right. Also taking shots all the way in at the people that are going to be asking her a few questions about Benghazi, her emails, and everything else about this entire mess. And we've got a drunken burglar covered in cupcake and frosting. You'll want to hear that one. But first, the Michigan House has jump-started a stalled road funding bill, the same conversation we were having with Arlen Meekoff right here on the program yesterday. The program getting approved, $1.2 billion, advancing the 9-bill package with little support from Democrats and without assurances that the Senate or governor are on board. House Speaker Kevin Cotter championed the proposal as a grand compromise for his caucus that incorporates key elements of previous plans. House Minority Leader Tim Greimel, however, is calling this irresponsible and unsustainable. Says it can't work. The new package, as if you heard the program yesterday, is projected to eventually generate about $600 million in new revenue through higher gas taxes and fees. It'll be 6.5 cents, by the way, per gallon of gas for you and I. That'll be attached to the inflation rate, and it will have a sunset on it, apparently. At least that was the plan that Arlen Meekoff put in front of us yesterday. $400 million more come from existing money. This also includes 2 tax relief components, a larger homestead property tax credit and a potential income tax rollback. That could mean more money in the pockets of you and I as well, but it would put significant strain on other budget areas in future years, so say the Democrats. Under the road funding bills, registration fees would jump about 40% late next year. And the per-gallon diesel taxes would increase to 7.3 cents. Gas taxes only 3.3 cents by late 2018. Fuel tax rates would then be tied to inflation. So a little bit different than what we were told yesterday. But it keeps advancing forward. Meanwhile, the state would increase the maximum homestead property tax credit in year 2017 and raise the household income cap from $50,000 to $60,000 in 2018, saving taxpayers but costing the general fund about $200 million a year. Beginning in and this is the funny thing about these things, they go way out in the future. Way out in the future, and then then we sit there in the future and go, well, now why did they do this? The reason being, when you go back to the future, just like we learned yesterday, it doesn't always look the way that you think it's going to. 7 years from now seems like an easy thing to predict. But anyhow, beginning in fiscal year 2022, 4.25%, the 4.25% personal income tax rate would decrease after any year that the general fund revenue growth exceeded inflation. Rates would not increase if that shrank a bit. If the same figure were in place this year, the income tax rate would have automatically dropped to 3.92%, according to the nonpartisan House Fiscal Agency, reducing available state revenue by $680 million. It's a fiscal time bomb, said State Rep Jim Townsend, a Democrat from Royal Oak, and I don't know if anybody on this floor knows just how explosive it could be. All told, the House GOP plan could actually produce a net tax decrease, and for me, that's a good idea. Wednesday's action was unexpected, coming 1 week after bipartisan road funding negotiations broke down, and just 1 day after Senate Majority Leader Arlen Meekhoff urged Cotter to act on a plan that included $800 million in new revenue. It was clear the quadrant talks were not going to produce a solution, said Cotter. Ultimately, I had to look inward and say, what's my path to 54 votes? And this plan, as we have now proven, was the sweet spot of compromise within our caucus. Need to get Meekhoff back on the phone here is what we need to do. Getting these votes was not easy. The main revenue-generating bill in the package, which would increase registration fees and implement new surcharges on electric vehicles, passed 55-51. We need to fix our roads. We need to fix our roads now. That's my opinion, the opinion of Pete Patalia of Presque Isle as well. Anyhow, so Democrats calling it a shell game. Republicans saying this is how we move forward with a compromise, a grand compromise. As these details start to trickle out, we'll get a better idea. No word yet, as it says here, as I've just said, on whether Governor Snyder is on board with this. No idea at all whether the governor is on board with this. All right, well, if you probably know by now, in a tortured statement at the White House Rose Garden, Vice President Joe Biden explained why he has decided not to run for president while painting a clear picture of why he should. It was bizarre, actually. It was like he thought he'd been elected homecoming king, only to learn at the last second he wasn't going to get his crown. He decided to use his speech anyway, no matter how awkward it came across. Unfortunately, I believe we're out of time, said Biden, flanked by his wife Jill and the president. It was one of the strangest political speeches that I've ever seen, both for its location but also for its content and tenor. While Biden explained ad nauseum his reasons not to run, he was ruminating about several unrelated side stories. The balance of his comments, including some sharp barbs for Hillary Clinton, it sounded a lot like a speech written to announce his candidacy and not one to throw in the towel. Made me wonder if he was told he wasn't being allowed to run despite his personal desires and wish to be president. Did Barack Obama tell him, I'm sorry, but no, Joe, it's not going to happen? I mean, it seems pretty clear the president has little use for Hillary Clinton. I think it's fair to say he despises her, actually, and then you have to wonder why wouldn't he push Biden? Maybe Obama knows something we don't. You know, that's pretty obvious, right? So if that's the case, maybe he knows something the FBI knows. Maybe he's holding Joe back on a tight leash until it's time to go for the throat. Hillary Clinton, after all, headed to Capitol Hill today. Maybe that's part of the strategy. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. For now, I can say Biden's speech announcing he wasn't going to run sounded a hell of a lot more like a campaign stump speech than a speech about some vague window of opportunity closing. For now, I don't think the window is closed. I don't think it's closed on Biden at all. I guess we'll all find out in good time. By the way, have you seen the latest WikiLeaks posts? It's 14 after the hour. The hotline number is 888-900-9966. Welcome to it, my friends. It's the Steve Gruber Show.
Getting your day started with news from around the state and around the world. Common Sense Radio. This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, well, here we go. Down this slippery path we go. Hillary Clinton, as you know, is going to be in front of Trey Gowdy and the Benghazi committee today. So that'll be plenty of fireworks and a lot to talk about on Free for All Friday tomorrow. Yesterday, though, a supermajority of the House Freedom Caucus said they will back Paul Ryan's bid to become Speaker of the House. One of the co-founders, Raul Labrador from Idaho, emerged from lengthy meetings and said there was consensus that we need to move forward because it's time for the conference to unite. Outgoing Speaker John Boehner, meantime, had this to say about Paul Ryan.
I think Paul is going to get the support that he's looking for, but he laid out a very clear vision of how he would run the speakership, and I thought the members responded very well to it. And but we all know Paul Ryan, right? He's a very good member. He works hard. He's very bright, and he has good relationships, I think, with all the wings of the party. So that's why I think he'll be doing fine. I did announce to the members that the conference election for Speaker will be next Wednesday. And
so there you go.
The 28th, and on Thursday, the 29th, the election will occur on the floor. This is not about us.
There you go. It's going to happen next week, Wednesday and Thursday. And at this point, it looks as if Paul Ryan has wrapped that deal up. Now, so you look at the political landscape is pretty interesting right now. You've got Joe Biden leaving, Paul Ryan coming in, Hillary headed to the Hill to face Trey Gowdy. By the way, Donald Trump said he would rather run against Hillary than Biden. He would rather run against Hillary than Biden. Now, on CNN's program with Jake Tapper last night, award-winning journalist Bob Woodward was on there speaking to Tapper about Biden stepping out and how and frankly who he thinks will win on the Republican side. Listen to this; it's interesting.
I think at one point he wanted to run, and then he undecided, and then this is where he landed. It's probably a sensible decision for him, but it gives the nomination to Hillary Clinton for all practical purposes.
On the other side of the aisle, you have Donald Trump commanding lead. I don't think anybody other than maybe Donald Trump and his associates thought he was going to be doing this well for so long. Do you think that he's likely to be the nominee?
You have to doubt it, because the Republican Party is looking for somebody who's like Reagan. I mean, you talk to Republicans, they all love Reagan. And Donald Trump is not Reagan-esque in many ways, and the party would gravitate towards somebody who can win, and the polls show that Rubio and Kasich, if they ran and won Ohio and Florida, no Democrat could beat them. So Republicans are going to want to win, obviously, and so this is the mystery, and we'll see what happens when people actually go to vote.
And there you have it. So Kasich and Rubio are the winning ticket. Where have you heard that before? The amount of grief I get for telling the truth about that is unbelievable. Gruber, you're not conservative enough. What are you? How can you support these people? Because, just like Woodward said, if Republicans want to take back the White House, you have to find a winning ticket to get you there. I like what Donald Trump has to say about, all sorts of things. In fact, I sat and visited with a gentleman yesterday who I quite like, who is very well grounded and a great thinker. And he said the same things I like. He says, I really like a lot of the things that Donald Trump says. If he wouldn't say all the stupid things, it might be a different, race. But the truth of the matter is, the things that come out of Trump's mouth, whether he's, commenting on Carly Fiorina's face or whatever, silly thing he does, he'll say something really decent about how to, address the problem at the southern border, how to address the economy, how to deal with the tax rates or whatever it may be. And then he'll follow it right up with something completely inane, like insulting Carly Fiorina. That one just comes to mind, or getting in a fight with Megyn Kelly, or what other silly, sophomoric seventh grade behavior will ensue. And I guess the concern of the gentleman I was having lunch with and my own concerns are the same. Which is, at what point does he say something really ridiculous, that really turns people off, that can turn the electorate, that could, turn women away or whatever it may be. You see, Marco Rubio can bring a Hispanic vote and the state of Florida. Kasich, whether, for all of his shortcomings, and he has some, can deliver the state of Ohio pretty obviously. He delivered better than 60% of the vote to himself when he was reelected governor in November of last year. And we can't, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, we can't make America great again until we get the ruling class that's currently in the White House out of the White House. It all starts with that. If you want to make America great again, if you want to be Reagan-esque, if you want to bring back an America that believes in America, for starters, You have to have somebody in charge who can actually, well, change the direction and the topic. If Hillary Clinton gets elected because you ran an unelectable candidate like Donald Trump against her because he's made himself potentially unelectable by going off half-cocked, by being a loose cannon, then what have you accomplished? And the answer is not much, besides painting yourself in a deeper corner. Things to consider, I would say. I mean, where are you on these things? Anyhow, if you'd like to get involved with the program and tell me where I'm going wrong this morning, the phone number is 888-900-9966. Brought to you by Mesa this hour. Good business, good health, great schools. Mesa helping bring you this part of the Steve Gruber Show. Again, you can get involved. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. Love to hear from you. And, of course, you can check it out at stevegruber.com as well if you want to find previous programs to listen to. Go back and listen to specific interviews. Look at the things that I'm writing about on a daily basis. You can check that out, too. It's all at stevegruber.com. It's Thursday, and welcome to it, my friends. This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Genuine Michigan common sense on display every day.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time? Is this the 50s or 1990s?
It's 33 after the hour on this Thursday. The conversation about energy here. The conversation about energy here in Michigan is getting louder. And people are more concerned as they realize that all of these coal-fired power plants are going to shut down in April. And, one of the rallying cries is reliable, affordable, and clean energy, crucial to Michigan's future. We have reliable energy now. We happen to be walking away from it. It's also affordable. We're walking away from it. And many would argue that it's reasonably clean. Some agree, some do not agree. Don Tilley joining me. He's from the 6th District Commissioner in Bay County's Board of Commissioners, the vice chair there. Mr. Tilley, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you.
All right, so we need reliable, affordable, and clean energy. It's crucial to Michigan's future. You're one of the folks, and in fact, that's exactly what you say, correct?
That is correct.
So lay that out for me. What does that look like to you in your mind?
Well, there's a couple of factors involved here. First and foremost is that, we have the need to draw business to Bay County. I also am the chair of Bay Future in Bay County, and one of our big concerns is that we want to make sure that we can supply reliable and affordable energy to companies we're trying to attract to the region. And with some of the one of the other proposed pieces of legislation, they would lift that cap from 10%, which is allowed to come into from out of state, to 17%, which the costs that will be bared on that will be put on the consumer. You and I, our bills will go up because these outside entities that may come into Michigan don't have to pay for the infrastructure, but they're allowed to use the infrastructure, and so those costs, which are fixed costs, have to be borne off on somebody, and that'll become you and I, the consumer.
Well, aren't you and I, the consumer, going to get crushed by the Environmental Protection Agency's disastrous move to close 9 coal-fired power plants? That'll happen by April of 2016, so just a few months away. That's 9 in Michigan, 60 total coal-fired power plants shutting down just in the Midwest here in America by April of 2016, with no viable plan to replace that electricity. So, we have reliable, affordable energy. It's called coal. And yet we're walking away from that. What is your take on that?
Well, that's an interesting question. Government has a responsibility to push us in a forward direction where we understand that the issues surrounding coal. And yes, it does, and that's how we make progress in the world. Otherwise, we would simply
government makes progress. Okay.
Otherwise, we would simply have corporations. There's no incentive for them to change anything they ever do, because it's profit motive.
So we're going to sit in the dark with $500 electric bills, and that's progress. So I should thank the government for that.
I don't think anybody's going to sit in the dark anywhere. I believe the incentives will be to push these energy companies to seek out other renewable and clean energy sources, more clean energy sources than what we currently have.
Hold on, Don. By April of next year, they're going to have all these sources. Just understand. Let's go over the math again. I'll go slower.
Yep.
9 plants are going to close by April. 60 in the Midwest. 1.5 gigawatts gone from the grid right here in Michigan. Right. And we're going to replace that how? And you just complained about, complained about how the taxpayers pick up the bill. We pick up the bill when you build new power plants, like the natural gas plant being built in Holland. Who pays for that? We do. So if Consumers Energy and DTE go to replace these 9 power plants that didn't need to be replaced, we pick up the bill for that. I mean, where do you live, Don? In Bay County, obviously. Yes. How long have you lived there?
All my life, 48 years.
Ever worried about taking a breath of air?
Have I ever worried about taking a breath of air? No, I'm never worried about taking a breath of air.
So what's the problem?
The problem is that the bill that's currently the other alternative bill that's out there is going to increase the cost at my household and your household, and at a tune to about $240 million, which is about $500 million that's going to be pushed off on us as consumers in the state of Michigan. And there's no
right. I understand that. We agree on that. That's wrong.
Because you're more concerned about the coal plants themselves being shut down and where the power is going to come from. And
of course I am. Everybody should be.
And they're guaranteed for the next 5 years that we are going to have enough power in the state of Michigan. And that guarantee has been put forth by both consumers and DTE to the state of Michigan, and they will honor that contract.
So when the Vice President of Consumers Energy says the new normal could likely be rolling blackouts beginning in the summer of 2016, the Vice President of Consumers Energy has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, that's the question you have to ask him.
We did. That's my point. We're taking all these power plants offline, and we have this push for green energy, clean energy, which is not, we don't have the technology yet to put us there. We don't have enough room in Michigan to build enough windmills to create enough. We would take the area that's twice the size of Rhode Island to build enough windmills at a cost of hundreds of billions of dollars to create wind power in Michigan that would be sufficient to power the place. We certainly don't get enough sunlight to run solar panels. This whole notion of green energy, it's all fine and well. It's all fine and well. It's nice. It doesn't work here. So what's our solution? We don't have enough wind. We don't have enough sun here in Michigan. What's the solution?
Well, I disagree with you. I believe that the technologies are out there, and I do believe that there is a future in wind energy and solar energy and hydroelectric energy, even geothermal energy. I think that there has to be an incentive for industries to start exploring or investing in those different technologies to improve our environment. And I would like to, as you said earlier, continue to breathe normally for the rest of my life and not have to worry about having poisons in the air.
Mr. Tilley, with all due respect, America is the cleanest, greenest, wonderful country on the planet. You should travel a little bit, my friend.
I travel quite a bit, my friend.
Right, and so there you go. Hey, have you found a cleaner place than Michigan in your travels?
Have I found a cleaner place than Michigan in my travels? It depends on what part of Michigan you want to go to. Yeah, I have.
Well, yeah, I've traveled all over the world. I think Michigan's a clean, wonderful place. And you said hydropower, too? You want to dam rivers. You want hydroelectric, you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So you think damming rivers is a good idea?
Well, in certain instances, they're not always dams. There are technologies to use hydroelectric power without using dams. It's the flow of it's the currents that come through the rivers that create the energy. It's not a dam. And there are technologies that allow that to happen. Listen, if we didn't have standards put in place to push us forward as a society and make this a better place, we'd still have coal dust that would be sitting on top of your car as you walked outside and go back to the early 1900s. Because government put regulations in to start cleaning some of that up, we have a cleaner place. And back then, you couldn't go outside and breathe. We used to have a river here in Bay City that didn't freeze in the wintertime because there were so many toxins that were put in that river. It was too warm to freeze because of government regulations that were put in place. The industries cooperated with it, and we actually have a wonderful river right here in Bay City that people ice fish. We have lots of competitions that go on it, and it's a cool thing to see.
No question. The Republicans putting through the Environmental Protection Agency was a great idea for everybody. When Richard Nixon signed that into law, it was a great plan. in a cleaned up America. That part I'll give you, Mr. Tilley. And a good conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Don Tilley, everybody, 6th District Commissioner in Bay County, the Board of Commissioners. I still think they're jumping the gun on reliable energy, but he put up a good defense, and I appreciate it. 41 after the hour here on the Steve Gruber Show.
Taking a closer look at the stories that affect you most with a big dose of common sense.
I know
It's 45 after the hour. Quickly to the hotline. Catch up on our last guest. We have Sam on the line in Grand Rapids checking in real quickly. Sam, what's on your mind?
Yeah, the last caller, I just caught the end of his call, but he's a blithering idiot. We do not have the technology to replace 9 coal-fired power plants with technology. My solution to that is to deregulate the power industry, and then anyone who votes Democrat should pay 3 times the current rate for electric and gas, and that would help pay for all that new technology. Thanks.
I appreciate it, Sam, and I think you're spot on. He was not a caller, by the way. That was Don Tilley, the 6th District Commissioners from Bay County, Board of Commissioners, the vice chair up there. So he wants reliable, affordable, and clean energy, and he wants hydroelectricity, but not from dams, just from the current somehow. I'm not sure how that works. At any rate, we're shifting gears now. Congressman Mike Bishop on the line with us this morning. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Good morning.
All right, so a lot of action. It's an exciting time in Washington, to say the least. John Boehner's leaving, and then Kevin McCarthy, he's not coming. And then is Paul Ryan going to do it or not do it? And apparently he has gotten the endorsement, at least of the lion's share of this so-called Freedom Caucus to move forward. First of all, what do you think of Paul Ryan? And apparently it'll happen Wednesday, Thursday next week, my understanding. Do you support his ascension to become Speaker of the House?
I do. I have great regard for Paul Ryan. He has been an exceptional leader, and I think he's preeminently qualified to be Speaker of the House. Last night, the Freedom Caucus was the last on board, and I think things look very good for him and his decision to run for Speaker.
Now, as far as some of the critics of Paul Ryan, some of the things they point to that concern people that are not on the Paul Ryan bandwagon, if you will, things like they say that he is weak on immigration, for example, say that he is not strong on enforcing an end to illegal immigration at our southern border, for example. How do you view that situation?
I don't see it that way, and I've never heard Paul Ryan be weak on immigration or any kind of illegal immigration. I will tell you that I've had a chance to get to know him over the past 10 months, and he has been one of the most effective leaders that we have here. He's very smart. He's very conservative. I think he's a common sense, strong leader, and he will do a very effective job at the speakership. And I'm very excited about it. He gave a stem winder of a speech the other night that really was something out of the books that I will never forget, and I'm very grateful for having been a part of it. And you know what? We need people like that right now who are excited to do this, who want to lead our country in the right direction.
I don't get to hear that term very often, by the way. A stem winder of a speech. I like that.
Well, I don't get to hear him very often, and boy, does he deliver it when he wants to. He's very passionate. There's there's something very nice about somebody who steps up for leadership, who wasn't seeking the position to begin with. He's ascending because his conference is pushing him up to the top, not because he was angling to get there. He's a family guy who would rather be with his family on the weekends than being in Washington D.C. And he just has a really I really appreciate his approach to the job. That this is about more than just being Speaker. It's about turning this country around, and he's got a sense of urgency that I appreciate, that I have not seen since I've been here.
He'd certainly like to be out in
very dire time in our nation's history, and if we don't get this right, and if we don't turn this country around immediately, I don't know what's going to happen if we get another progressive president in this White House.
Which is just that's code word for Marxist in my estimation, for the most part.
Right.
Progressive. A progressive doesn't mean today what it did when Teddy Roosevelt was running for president. It's a whole world different. So we'll keep an eye on Paul Ryan. We'll see what happens there. He would rather be home with his family on the weekends, hunting for deer in Wisconsin, which is what he likes to do. And now, something else that you're up to here, Congressman, and we'd like just to touch on is your partnership with the House of Representatives Wounded Warrior Program and some of the things you're doing there in your Brighton office. Tell us what's going on there.
Well, we have an opportunity to bring on a wounded warrior, and we're in the process of doing that right now, and making sure that we have identified the office as a resource for those veterans who need support and who have come back from active duty and need support. And our office has always been open and available. We've got great folks that are there, ready, willing, and able to help. Lots of resources and opportunities for those who are looking for assistance to contact our office. And now that we have someone in the office who really has been there, done that, this is really going to take us up to the next level and really give us the ability to help.
What do you think about whether Donald Trump is going to win the nomination for Republican or not? He has brought a spotlight with him that he uses on a regular basis to shine a light on things that are a problem. One of those things he continues to shine a light on is the VA. And you talk about the Wounded Warrior situation. You look at the problems with the VA system still today, after the crisis that we've already gone through. And I think he's right about the fact that we owe our veterans better than what they're getting at the Veterans Administration currently.
I couldn't agree more. And I've had it's been 10 months here, and I've had a chance to really dig deep into this issue. And we've got some VA hospitals around this country that really work. The one in Ann Arbor really works, and I think the veterans appreciate it. But there are others around the country that are completely dysfunctional and cannot deliver a service that's up to snuff for the people that most deserve it. I'll also say too that there's a prosthetic. Folks that have lost limbs in this in the process of serving their country deserve to have the best possible treatment, and we have seen the scale back of all the support that the prosthetic industry has had over the years to make sure that our wounded warriors that come back are properly fitted for prosthetics, and that to me is unacceptable. We ought to be doing everything we can to make sure that they get the best possible treatment. In my opinion, the best way to handle this is to allow these warriors coming back and these soldiers coming back to see their own physicians rather than herding them into a VA hospital.
Agreed. Congressman, we have to leave it right there. And hats off to you for doing the right thing with Wounded Warriors. Congressman. It's 55 after the hour on this Thursday. It's the 22nd of October. Thanks for dialing it in. Let's go to the phone lines. We had a hotline caller. Brian's on the line this morning. Brian, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve. Since this is Halloween time, I think about the movie Nightmare on Elm Street. It kind of reminds me of the Clintons. They just keep coming back, and people keep dying under their watch, like Vince Foster and the Marines in Benghazi. And it would be nice if after Halloween they would just kind of go away like the movie Nightmare on Elm Street did.
Yeah, well, they're going to keep coming around. Hillary, of course, on Capitol Hill today. And, right. she'll be there to be transparent and honest and open because she's there to let us know the truth.
Well, like Freddy Krueger, she has a big set of claws that she likes to claw people.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Greatly appreciate you checking in today. And the phone number for you, if you'd like to get on board, is 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966 is the, it's the Common Sense Hotline, and we encourage you to become part of it. Still to come today, we're going to talk more about this energy issue we're facing. Another EPA scourge represents a big change for Michigan on the way, and it could mean big problems for your kids and your grandkids to get jobs here. It also presents a chance for the Republicans to stand for something. Will they do it? I couldn't tell you. I don't know what they're going to do, but Tom Borelli will be here to talk about it. Also, Bob Thompson, the president of the Michigan Farmers Union, will be here to discuss food labels. and the need to keep information from consumers and not give information to consumers. We've talked about this before. It makes no sense to me. Why should I not know that my shrimp is from Vietnam or that my steak is from Kansas and not Cambodia? Why should I not be able to know that? Well, it's an imperative, it's an impediment to trade and so forth, Steve. No, it's not. Saying the steak came from Canada as opposed to Kansas is not an impediment to trade. That is complete and utter nonsense, and we won't stand for it. It's 57 after the hour on this Thursday, the 22nd of October. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show.